Just a couple of minutes more before we get started. Welcome everyone for joining us this evening. Feel free while we're waiting just for the last few people to join to introduce yourself in the chat and let us know what your favourite snack is. And we'll get started in a couple of minutes' time. Okay, well, good evening or good morning or good afternoon to everybody that's joining us from all around the globe, and welcome to this Google Certified Innovator webinar for this evening. Just before we get started, we seem to have lost my screen straight off the back. Let me just get that back in. That's better. Welcome everybody to this Google Certified Innovator webinar. And just to explain how this evening is going to work, we are going to focus in a little bit on our newest academy, VIA20. So we're going to answer some questions about that to start with. And then we're going to dig into the video in particular this evening. So the focus for tonight is all about the application video. Before we get into that, just to introduce myself, my name's Andy Caffrey. I'm a Google Certified Innovator from the UK. I was from the Mountain View cohort, and now I work as part of the team who delivered the Innovator Academy. And I'm joined tonight by Jess on the call. Jess is going to be handling things in the chat. Hi, Jess.
Welcome, everybody.
And Jess is going to be looking after all the things in the chat. And we have quite a lot of innovators on the call with us as well this evening. So I'm going to go through these just to say hello to everybody now. In no particular order, but I think it's alphabetically first. Evening, Abid.
Evening, Andy.
Introduce yourself, say where you're from, and a bit about your innovator journey.
Yep, I'm Abid Patel. I'm from London, UK. I am an innovator from the London 19 cohort. I'm an IT director of a multi-academy trust of primary schools. Yeah, my innovator journey started quite suddenly in January 2019. I was not Google certified in any way whatsoever, and I only did my level 1 in mid-March 2019, and the deadline for London 19 was mid-April. So I kind of zoomed through that, and the video. I think the innovator video was the first video I've ever recorded of anything to do with myself. So you can tell how fun an experience that must have been. But but these pre-academy webinars definitely helped with that. So definitely pay attention here, because you'll get some really great tips out of it.
Thanks, Abid. And Christy is on the call as well.
Hello, it's Christia Osborne-Preston. I am an innovator from the Sydney 19 cohort last year. I live in Las Vegas. I'm currently a technology teacher. And as far as my innovator journey, we finished up our innovator projects in May, so kind of right in the middle of the whole pandemic that was going on. So that was kind of an interesting way to wrap up. But I did get my my project published, and it was kind of funny. I was in a webinar earlier today to become a Google trainer, and they were showing the Google Transformation Center, and my innovator project popped up So that was kind of an interesting thing to see on the screen. I was like, wait, that's my innovative project. That was kind of cool. I'm like avid. The video, this is the first time I ever made a video that was about me or anything else. I felt like that was totally out of my comfort zone. So if you're feeling like that was the thing that gave me the most anxiety about anything with the application process. So if you're feeling like that, no, you're not alone.
Great, thank you. Well, it's great to have you with us this afternoon for you. And hi, Devin, who's joining us as well.
Oh, it's good to see everybody. It's Devin Rossiter. I'm an academic coach from Bakersfield, California, part of the London 19 cohort. Actually about to wrap up my innovative project. I feel like I'm going to be able to launch in a couple of weeks. And strangely enough, I feel like it's more timely now than it was when I first launched it. So I'm very excited about that. I have made many videos before. My background is actually in media. I actually did not have any inkling of education when I graduated college. I was going to be a sports broadcaster. So I actually got to do that. I worked as a commentator for the Bakersfield Condors here in California. And so I've always had kind of an eye for media. With that said, when the opportunity came around to work with a video for the Innovator application, it was one of the most, it's the most thought I've put into a video that I've created as far as what I want to say and how I wanted to show it. And it took about 3 tries for me to get into Innovator, but the third one, I feel like I learned the most from the process that allowed me to put it forward and best illustrated exactly what I had in mind with where I wanted to take my challenge. So I'm hopeful that we can help out in that regards today.
Great, thanks, Devin. And also joining us, looking down, is Katie. Hi, Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie Fielding. I am a Google Innovator from the Day 18 cohort, and I'm a tech coach living outside Washington, D.C. My innovator journey, my project was all about working and improving school and homebound instruction for chronically ill students, which now really applies to everyone. As far as making my video, one thing I was really intimidated by looking at some other videos were like people that did lower thirds and animated things that flew in, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can never do that. And you'll see in my video that I didn't, and it totally worked out for me. So don't be like intimidated that it has to be really technically interesting. It's all about you.
Great, some great video tips coming out already. And just picking up the rest of the innovators. Good morning to Leslie.
Morning from down under. Hi, I'm Leslie Altman, and I'm part of the Sydney 19 cohort. And it's really great to be joining everyone here. And yeah, I'm an e-learning mentor here in the Lismore Diocese, which is about 47 schools here. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting chatting about the video application. I think my application journey was pretty well fast-tracked because my boss, Andrew, said to me, you know, there's something really interesting happening in Sydney in May. And this was February last year. And I said, oh, really? So I had a look at it. I said, starve the lizards. That's Google Innovator. So he said, give it a try. And so I did. So it was a really, really exciting journey, and it just hasn't stopped. The excitement hasn't stopped.
Great to hear. And I do love the way you describe it as starve the lizards. So morning, well, no, it's probably more, yeah, later in the day for you, actually. Hi, Lewis.
Hi. It's actually the afternoon, yeah. So it's almost evening. But yeah, I'm Luis Bertuz. I am an innovator from the New York City 19 cohort. I'm a technology integrator at a Catholic school here in Barranquilla, Colombia. I took a plunge and I applied for an Innovator Academy in my second language. I had applied originally for Mexico 18, and Mexico 18 wasn't my cohort, and I applied again. The video, oh God, the video. 18 compared to 19, the video in 18 was 90 seconds long, which felt like hardly enough time, but then 19 was 60 seconds, and you had to fit everything you could into those 60 measly seconds. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in media. So yeah, so we'll be talking about all of this later, but it's an awesome thing. Just go for it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, we've gone back to 90 seconds. So it's now a 90-second video for everyone applying for VIA Academy this year, 90 seconds on the video. Lots of innovators coming in as fast as I can introduce them. Hi, Stephanie. Good afternoon to you.
I think I'm the right Stephanie that you're referring to, I think.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Rothstein. I was lucky enough to be in the Singapore cohort of 2019 and absolutely loved it. For sure, a life-changing experience. I didn't attend any of these prior to sending in mine. So I think if you're here, that's a step in the right direction for sure. I would also say that I was someone who never put stuff out there like for other people to see and to give me feedback on before it went out to the world. Like I just sent in my stuff, and once I found out I got in, then I shared with people. And one of the things that I have loved seeing is that people are so willing to share and be open, that it has helped me open up a lot more in the process. So I would just say, sorry about that. I would say that if you're here already, anybody that is here is willing to look at stuff for you and give you any feedback. It's just an opinion though, because we all have our own opinions and we're all people who come at problems from other angles. And I think that's the power of this group, is that, and the power of joining a team like this, is it really is a team that can help you start to think about problems from a perspective that isn't your own, that you wouldn't understand without having put it out there for the world to see.
Thank you, Stephanie. And still lots of innovators left me to introduce. Masquerading as Global GEG in the call this evening, or morning for her, or afternoon. Hi, other Stephanie. Or not paying attention. Now she's waving at us. That's perhaps as close to being the get.
I'm trying to unmute. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm still on this account because I didn't have time to switch off. But yeah, Innovator completely changed my life. Before Innovator, I had 0 friends, and now I have a bunch of friends. And I'm just so thankful for all of the friends that have been brought to my life. And there's some really good competition for this cohort.
That's certainly right, with us having one big cohort this year. And Bonnie's in as well. I missed her earlier. Hi, Bonnie.
Hey, yeah, we just jumped in from the Global GEG. I was SEA 19 in Singapore with Stephanie. Andy was our fearless leader. It was lovely. I know some people in this webinar that definitely need to apply. So yeah, definitely reach out to everybody. This is a game changer. Sometimes I call it like the nicest cult you can ever join, because like I feel like I've never worked so hard. But it's amazing. So definitely let us know if you need any help or feedback, because we got you.
And there's probably going to be some other innovators in the call I'm missing. I'm just scrolling down my list now, just checking whether I've missed any innovators. But from innovator turned Googler, and Chris Betcher's in. So good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Andy. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you. But quite the morning this morning.
I catch you in the middle of your breakfast.
I've seen a few people write something in the chat about, oh, you know, this is scary. I'm not sure about sharing. You know, I have to just say, get over it. This is a sharing community. Everybody shares, and that's one of the things I would encourage you to sort of just, if you feel uncomfortable sharing, or you have that feeling of, everybody feels like an imposter, by the way, in this program. Everybody feels like they're not doing enough or not good enough at what they do, and you are all amazing, and you just need to get past that. That would be my advice.
Thanks, Chris. And also, while we're down under, morning to Jim as well, who's in.
Oh, hello. Good morning, everybody. And thank you for putting this together, Andrew. My name's Jim. I live in Australia, but I sound like I come from California, because I do. I actually became an innovator, I guess Google certified teacher in 2008. So yes, that means I'm old, and it also means that I didn't have to do nearly the amount of stuff that you guys have to do. But I will say that I was a film teacher for about 10 years before I went and started a company down here. But I'm happy to just share out some of my thoughts around what that looks like from my perspective. And I was on the committee to look at applications for many, many years. And I don't know, I always feel like there should be a little bit of pressure on the video, because it's really where you shine. You know, it's really where we get to see you. And so hopefully this will be a great webinar for sharing around some best practices. But thanks for having me.
No problem. It's great to have you in, Jim. And I think I've just managed to hit hopefully every innovator in the call. But if I haven't, now's your one chance to unmute and say hello before we move on.
Hello.
Who was that? Oh, Frederick, I missed you. Sorry, from NYC.
That was it. Hello.
Oh, that was your hello. Okay. Keeping it brief. Thank you, Frederick. Okay, let's get moving with today's webinar. I'm going to just do a bit of a recap firstly, just to make sure everybody's up to speed on some of the changes that we announced a few weeks ago back now. So it would help if I was clicking on the right presentation. If you have any questions as we go through this webinar, you can ask them over on our Q&A doc. And it's the same doc we used in the last webinar, bit.ly/VIA20QA. There's the link in the chat coming up. But if you've got any questions that you want to ask of any of us on the call, feel free to go over to the Q&A doc and pop your questions in there. And at the end of the webinar, we'll return to the doc and just pick a few questions from there to answer as well. But we'll be typing answers in as we go throughout today. So feel free to use the Q&A doc as we move through. As you know, this is one of a series of webinars. We're focusing on the video part of the application today. And then in around a week's time, we're going to focus on some final Q&As and feedback around the Academy. So this is one of a run of webinars, some of which are recorded. This one is recorded this time. It seems to be working, so that's a good sign. But let's just recap on where we've got to with our academies this year, because as you may have be aware, we've announced that due to the current situation around the globe, we're cancelling the face-to-face academies, and we're replacing them with one single global academy, which is VIA20. So VIA20 is our global academy for this year, and it's an online academy. So the program will be delivered online through Google Meet, like we're using now, and a range of other tools to enable us to deliver the academy program to people around the globe this year. So not a face-to-face academy, and no in-person and a Google office for this year's academy. I said some of these on the last call, but just to be totally clear about this, we're offering this academy in 2 languages. So it's available both in English and in Spanish. And if you've already started an application or have even submitted an application for an existing academy this year, that can be carried over into the VIA application system. So there's no need to start an application again if you've already halfway through started an application for Sydney or for Sunnyvale or for Madrid or for Mexico. You can carry those applications over and into the system. We have, if you haven't started, we have opened the application forms up for VIA20. And when you go onto our application platform, you'll see there's an English version of the form and a Spanish version of the form. And obviously you can choose the appropriate one to fill in. Based on the language that you select your application in, that's the language we will deliver the academy to you in. So if you are an English speaker and want the academy in English, use the English form. And the application form hasn't changed in any way, but our deadline has. So the deadline for this year is the 10th of July. So for all of both Spanish and English program, the deadline is the 10th of July for submissions at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So that's the deadline. Don't miss that one. In terms of what happens after that, well, we will go away and score them. And it's our existing innovators, some of whom you've met on the call, people like Jim, who've been scoring for many years, that score our applications. And it takes around 2 weeks for that process to take place. And after that, we will announce the cohort for VIA20, which is a larger cohort than previous years as we are recruiting. Someone's asked me about the number of applicants. We can't give an exact number because we're recruiting within regions globally. So we're recruiting across the different regions, but it is a significantly larger cohort than we've recruited previously. In terms of what it looks like when the program actually starts, we're planning 8 weeks of program content at the start of the academy, which will start in August and run through all the way to October. And in a standard week, you'll have a 1-hour program session a week, 1 hour with your coach a week, and then across the whole program there are sparks which break down to about an hour a week. So you're looking at about 3 hours every week of online content, along with other events and things that are taking place throughout that cohort. After those 8 weeks are over, We've delivered to you the sort of the meatier part of the content, our design thinking program. Then we move into the mentorship phase, which follows exactly the same program as all our other innovators on the call, which is a 9-month piece from October through to July, when you work on the project that you will design and develop through the academy. So I'm aware I'm recapping what we talked about last time, but just an overview there of VIA20 people on the call. We have got a Google chat group, and that's the link there. That's for people who want to apply to Innovator Academy. I know we've got some existing innovators in there, Devin's in there, and a few of the rest of us are. But if you want to connect with other applicants, if you want to get things like feedback on the videos, then join our chat group, and that's the link for our Google chat. Some people won't be able to join that from their school accounts, because some school accounts don't allow Google chat. If yours doesn't, then you'll have to join from a personal Gmail account. Okay, so quick overview there of the VIA20 situation. Now we're going to move into the meat of what we're focusing on today, which is our application videos. And what we're going to focus on in this call is the video part of that. So just to be totally clear, in the last webinar, we focused on the challenge, and we talked through the different ways of coming up with good challenges. And it's fair to say that the video is part of that challenge process. So what we're asking for people this year. The requirement is, as it says in the application form, a 90-second advocacy video. And that's broken down to 2 parts. The first 30 seconds, you're introducing yourself, telling us who you are, where you come from, just who you are as an innovator. And the second part of that is a 60 seconds to talk about your challenge, how it affects the person that you've spoken to in the how might we statement, and why it's a challenge. This is your chance to justify your challenge to us. And it's your chance to passionately sell to our innovators why you think you're the person to solve that challenge. So that's what we're focusing on in the video. And it's really the one chance you have to come across and to show your personality. So that's the brief on the video. Big key things, and we put this in the application form, is in the video, we don't want solutions to your problem. You're coming to us with a challenge. We want to be able to work on that at the academy. So in the video, we don't want you starting to drift into solutions. And we want to have some decent production around that. So think about your sound, think about your lighting, think about your camera. And the best videos we tend to see have the person in some way. So think about how you're going to appear in the video and what you're going to say as part of that video. And there's lots of different ways of creating successful innovator videos. And what we're going to do in the next part of this call is have a look at some. But before we get into that, I just want to explain what we'd like you guys to do. So we're going to watch some videos in a minute, and we'd like you to score them in the chat over on the right-hand side from 1 to 5. So imagine that you are one of our scorers, and this is what our scorers do. They score different elements. And 1 is a fairly poor video. So if you think the video you're watching is not great, give it a score of 1. Someone who isn't an innovator, maybe it's just, really quickly put together piece to camera. Maybe it doesn't really answer the questions we're looking at. So in the chat, if you really don't like the video you're seeing, score it a 1. I'm also mindful that some of the people's videos are in the call this evening. If you love the video, if you think it's amazing, then you're going to score it a 5. Okay, so we're going to watch some videos, and then you're going to just in the chat try and score them from 1 to 5. And after each one, we'll have a little chat about each one. And as I said, some of the innovators who are in our call tonight have got their videos in. So let's get started, shall we, with our first video to have a look at. Here comes our first one. It's a London 19 video from Darren. Play that through.
Hi, I'm Darren Simons, and this is my application for the Google Certified Innovator Program. I work at Suffolk New College, and at the college, we have got data on students. I mean, a lot of data. And when I first started, most of that was paper-based and was stored in folders in rooms and rooms and rooms. But luckily, at least now, we've got it digitally. But we've got data on attendance, formative assessment, smart targets, RAG rating, summative assessment, entry data, progress comments, and student comments as well. And all of this information lives on about 4 different systems, which we can't change. We have to access all that information if we want to find out how a student is progressing at the college. And that takes time. It takes time away from actually talking to the students. We just need to have that information right in front of us so we can have those more constructive conversations about the student and getting them the outcomes that they want by the end of the course. So that's my challenge. How might we better use the existing data that we have on students to make them succeed in education?
Okay, so that's Darren's video. I know, apologies for the sound, it was a bit quiet there. I'm going to try and get the same volume pumped up as we go through these videos this evening. And there's a link just coming into the video if you want to go and watch it. But just thinking about that video as a score of 1 to 5. Feel free to drop your scores into the chat. Darren is there presenting to camera. He is talking about his challenge. He's focusing on that question. It'll be really interesting to see what sort of scores people give Darren. Any of our innovators on the call want to give any feedback on what we've just seen in terms of that video? Seeing all the scores coming in.
He showed personality, lots of it, which is always good.
Yeah, I think it's
the video production is good. Like, it's got a nice white background. It's easy to see. It's not cluttered. The lighting's good. The audio, notwithstanding the fact that it was soft over the video, over the call, it's probably okay in real life, was good. I felt a little bit like he already knows where he's going, though, in terms of a problem. Like he already knows what he wants to do. So I'm not sure it's as open-ended as it needs to be.
That's a bit good feedback there from Chris.
You can tell he feels comfortable in front of the camera. And a little background on Darren. He does have a background in presenting. So it's a comfortable space for him where he feels like he can tell his story without a lot of distractions. And, so having the clean background allows you to focus on him and what he's got to say.
Yeah. And people are pointing that out, and I think it's scoring pretty well as across the scores here. Seeing some reasonable scores come in. Now we're going to move on and look at a different video. I'm trying to remember whose video is coming up next. Oh, so this is Katie's. Now I'm going to try my best to get the volume up a bit this time around, so we can hear this video a bit better. But let's get the video started first.
Hi, my name is Katie Fielding.
Oh.
An instructional technology coach in Pittsburgh County, Virginia. Sorry about that. I'm Katie, an instructional technology coach and Google certified trainer. Throughout my 14-year career in education, my side hustle has been homebound instruction, where I go to the homes of medically and mentally homebound students and work with them one-on-one. I have seen a lot of worksheets from the classroom teachers, not a lot of engaging work that helps the students build their 21st century skills of communication, collaboration, and creativity. Imagine you're a student at home juggling appointments, stressed out parents, and all the pain that comes along with your ailment. However, you want to be as normal as possible, and that includes doing well in school. I can imagine this because I grew up with fibrosis. How can we help these students keep up with their peers in school, stay connected with their classmates and teachers, while balancing everything else going on? How can we lend these students a hand?
Okay, so that's Katie's video. Now, Katie's also in the call with us this evening. Katie, do you want to talk us through your video a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So, this was actually like a really vulnerable thing for me to share, putting, everything that I do on a daily basis, my treatments, out for the world to see. Actually, when I shared this video with my colleagues after I had been accepted to Innovator, one of my colleagues turned to me and goes, "You don't really do that every day, do you?" And I was like, that's exactly the point. You do not know what your chronically ill students are doing every day to stay alive. And that's like the point of my project, is having empathy for those students. So I was just myself in my video, just sharing like an intimate part of me and sharing my passion for a specific group of students. And that's all that's what I'd recommend you do. Just share your passion that you have for your students, and share the part of you of where that comes from.
And Katie, thank you for letting us share it as well this evening on the call. But it's a really nice straight to camera video as well. Just a couple of things as we go through some of these. If the volume is quiet your end, just seeing some people commenting about volume being quiet their end. I'm at full volume my end, so I can't go any higher. But if it is, we're dropping the links to the videos in the chat as well. So you can always just click the link, watch the video, obviously over on YouTube, and all these videos are on YouTube, and go about that way. So if you're having some struggle with the sound, Chris is telling me to turn up to 11. He's been watching too many TV shows, and we'll do it that way. So that's Katie's video. Thank you for Katie.
Oh, I'll add one thing that I just filmed it with my Pixel, and I used hair ties to attach my Pixel to a chair across from me.
I'm always intrigued by what people's setups really look like in these videos. So it was a chair opposite, but you obviously got someone to help you as well, because their arm is coming in.
Yeah, that's my partner Dave. Those were his helping hands.
But I think it gets the message across, and that's the thing. What we want to see is around the project and people's passion around the project they want to solve, and that was really came across really clearly in that video, I think. But thank you for everyone for scoring Katie's. Let's move on to this one.
Se acabaron las mesas en fila y los deberes y el profe sin parar de hablar. La clase se vuelve del revés y estoy flotando en éxtasis. No me pares, no me pares, porque esto es efectivo y muy divertido. Tras sacar cursos en la universidad y leer libros, muchos palos en el cole tocar. Después de formar a profes mil, viendo resultados y crear apps y escribir tu hijo feliz. Transmito innovación, yeah. ¿Quieres aprenderlo? Tienes fácil entrando a YouTube. Aprende sobre innovación, ABP, cooperativo, Gamifica y Bloom. No me pares, no. Es guay para tus alumnos y te vas a divertir. No me pares, no. Si quieres mejorar, ya sabes, dale al play. No me pares, no. No me pares. Estés donde estés, no pares a la innovación.
There we go. So a musical video in that one. Feel free to give us your scores from 1 through to 5 for that one. We do see.
I love how he's singing it, but it's like he's trying to do it late at night and not wake his wife up. It's just like singing really low, but trying to sound really loud.
There is that recording it late at night thing we see in quite a few videos, isn't there, where we see people record them late. So there is that piece around the musical piece for people who feel confident in that space. But it's getting that balance as well around the project and your opportunity to speak and your opportunity to get the problem across. And that's, I see a range of scores coming in. I would be interested from any other innovators whether we prefer the musical videos we see occasionally. We don't see lots.
I will just say, Andy, just that I'm reading all the comments about people sort of that level of intimidation about, I saw the video with lots of production and like, no, I don't know. You know how you learn to do videos like that? By doing videos like that. That's how you learn to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, forcing yourself to do that and realizing that would have taken considerable time to sync that in perfectly. Not only to write the song, but then to sync the video and the visuals to that is going to take piece of editing, but there's clearly a passion there towards this project as well. And we're seeing someone that's passionately applying for Innovator, which is great. So there's that one. Let's move on to look at our next one. Oh, here we go.
Hi, I'm Luis Pertuz. I'm a tech integrator here at Marymount School in Barranquilla, Colombia. I'm also a jack of all trades. I'm the G Suite guru and a tech coach, and I've been in education for over 20 years. I want to talk to you about lesson plans. Wait. I know what some of you are thinking. I also know that this doesn't sound like the most interesting of problems, but hear me out. My issue with lesson plans is a little more involved than just coming up with the plans. The problem I see is with the whole process, both for the teachers, but especially for the administrative staff. Look, this is Joel. Joel is an English teacher who loves using Google Classroom for student learning. His problem is all the hoops he must jump through to comply with the official school formats. Then there's Kenneth. Kenneth is a curriculum integrator. He's worried about our school complying with all our programs, making sure that our teachers comply with the different standards. He also needs access to his updated lesson plans whenever he wants to make classroom observations and get feedback. So the problem is this: how might we make lesson plans easier and more effective for both teachers and admin? Thank you for your time. Hope to see you in New York.
And we did get to see you in New York. Has that video worked for you?
Yeah. It was, ask me how many takes of everything in there I made, like 1 million. And it's somewhere in my, I have a GIF somewhere where there's like all the list of all the takes of all the pictures of everything I've done, and it's huge and it's enormous. And it took me a whole bunch of time. I used WeVideo for this. It's a really easy platform to use. I recommend it highly. And yeah, and this was after maybe playing around with it for a week or so. So it's not really,
In terms of the tools there, you said it was that your first week on WeVideo, Luis?
It was around my first week on WeVideo, yeah.
And do you think that improved your video editing skills, having to make this for a deadline?
Well, I'd used iMovie before, but then my Mac died and I was forced to work from a Chromebook. And this has been like the best tool for this sort of thing ever. And it's a very good platform. It's remarkably powerful for the entry level that you need. And you could put everything in there. Like all the texts and graphics were done in Google Drawings. So I didn't rely on their stuff. Some of the interstitials were from them, but everything else I did myself.
Great, and thank you for sharing, Luis. It's been interesting to see people's comments in the score, people scoring that coming in as we go through as well. Don't forget to try and give us a score from 1 to 5 for some of these videos. And Darren mentioning his guide to WeVideo there, but it's a really nice online platform, and there's a whole range of tools out there that you can use depending on the platform you're using for putting your video together. People mentioning a bit Premiere Pro there that Devin might have used, and just a range of other online platform tools and even mobile tools. And some of the videos we've seen are straight to camera pieces. Thank you for sharing, Luis, and allowing us to share. Next video up is this one.
Administrators, particularly building principals, are jacks of all trades and masters of many. They hire, counsel, teach, lead, and most important of all, they determine what is valued, prioritized, and let's be honest, their values and priorities often determine what actually happens in schools. The problem is, what if a principal isn't knowledgeable about current technologies and innovative teaching practices? Or worse, what if their discomfort with technology prevents them from ever talking about it and modeling for staff that it's okay to fail forward with technology? My theory is that what a principal prioritizes is what actually happens in a school. So the big challenge I would love Google's help in solving is, how might we provide impactful technology and innovation professional development to administrators in a way that impacts teachers and students? If anyone can help me, it's you, Google. Hope to see you in London.
So Alicia's one there. Feel free to give us a score on that. Interesting use of subtitles on that video, and it's one of the first ones where we see the comedy subtitles coming in a little bit to emphasize some of the points. I was thinking about, does it focus on the problem that she's applying with? Lots of relatively high scores from that. Any comments from any of our innovators on the call about Alicia's video? Anything they like or think could be improved?
One of the things that, oh, go ahead, Stephanie.
I like the way that she was speaking. I felt like she guided me to her question very well. Like I understood the context. Maybe I connected with it because it's what I'm always thinking in terms of our administrators at my school. At the end, I did have a question when she was asking for Google's help in solving it. I wondered about that. It was just my own personal wonder, because I really think that the spirit of innovator is about like you figuring that out with the help of lots of other people, and the people aren't Google. Like Google isn't the only thing that's going to help solve that problem. So I wondered about that one part of it, that one mention at the end, because I didn't know if that almost like hinted at a solution in a sense. I don't know if that's being overly nitpicky, but I did appreciate her question. I thought her approach to it was unique. I thought she made it her own, because it's a question that we continue to ask around professional development, but I thought that she had a niche topic within PD that I appreciated.
And what I appreciate is the fact that, you know, the text was supportive. It didn't distract from her, but what also didn't distract from her was the fact that it was one steady cut. So while the words kept changing, while they served to support what she was saying, it was still her saying it. So the fact that it didn't cut from one to another with the text changing from side to side allowed for her to serve as kind of the lighthouse for that. Like, yeah, whenever you need to refer back to what the purpose of all this was, there she was to help guide you there and explain it. And if you needed a little bit support, that's what the text did. It didn't serve to distract, it served to support.
Did you think that text was like an inner voice or somebody commenting on it? I was trying to figure out who the voice was of the text.
I almost get the sense, like if you ever watched old episodes of the Colbert Report, where he had that segment, The Word, where he would say something and then there'd be something off to the side kind of related that was meant to kind of spark you back up. I almost kind of got that sense.
Yeah, and it's impressive for do it in one take. Like you said, that's a really valid point. It would take me a million tries to get it all done at once. So to get it in time and stuff, that's pretty cool.
I saw the text as something like Mystery Science Theater 3000, that it's like it's talking in your ear, and that I liked.
So one technique as far as making sure, because memorizing things can be very daunting. If you have your camera recording, you can bring up your script on Docs or another word processor, like there are any other word processors, and just have that up on screen while your camera is still recording. And just try to make sure that you refer to it without trying to read and having your eyes caught side by side. But you can have that up while you're filming, and that way you don't have to lean too much on memorizing. But depending on how many takes you make, by the time you get to the 8th or 10th take, you may have that dedicated to memory, so you can focus just on the lens.
Yeah, there's a number of apps. I used to use one on an iPad when I was teaching younger kids, but I've seen them for Chrome and everything now, which is just a teleprompter. And you put your script on the teleprompter and you literally hang it from the camera lens, so it's sitting right under the camera lens. And it looks like you're looking down the barrel, but you've got the script coming up, and it just scrolls through and it keeps you moving. And I would say too, with that video, like someone said, oh, it's good that she got it all in one go. Like, that's probably take 427. Like, don't let that fool you. This did not get done in one take.
I originally posted, I took my phone, I took it backwards, and I stuck it at the end of a selfie stick, and I tried sticking like Post-it notes on the side of the phone to have like my talking points, so I'd make sure that I wouldn't forget anything. And then as I saw it back, I always saw that I could see myself reading, and that was horrible.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of you guys personally, but I can tell you one thing for certain: your first take will suck.
I I have to agree with that, Chris. And I also want to just point out that there's a beautiful balance of music in this as well. And that you have to be really careful with using music because it can really overpower your voice. And so I feel like she did a great job of balancing that. But it's also the choice of music, right? It's really light, it's bouncy, it's sort of reflective of what I assume is her personality, which is that trick, right? You can, if you have no personality and it's not bouncy, use bouncy music and suddenly you're vibrant. But it's I'll drop in the chat. You know, YouTube has thousands of songs for you to use in the background for free. Just be really careful with how you balance that. You'll have to use an editing program to really bring down that audio because it could ruin your video if you do it wrong.
Yeah, some great tips there from innovators about that video and some ideas for you making your own video. So thank you for that one. Let's have a look at the next one in our sequence of ones to look at, and that's this. Because you'll be amazed at how many of those we see when we look at Judge Innovator applications. I would say you're talking 20 or 30 applications in every single round come out as video unavailable. And of course, that leaves us no choice when we're scoring the video other than to score it our lowest possible scores because we can't see the video. And despite us saying this time and time again, make sure that your videos are publicly viewable by somebody clicking the link who's not signed into your account. So check your links for everything you're submitting on Innovator in an incognito window to make absolutely sure that you've got it correct, because you'll be amazed. And there are probably some absolutely amazing innovators or people who should have been innovators who haven't come through Academy because they didn't get the link correct for the video. And it's a one-off hit. We don't do a permission request or anything. If we can't see the video, we simply score it 0 and move on to the next person. So just a big tip from me there is you'd be amazed how many we still see like that. So make sure it's publicly viewable on YouTube or through Drive, but somewhere when we click the link, we can see the video. So there's that one. Let's look at the next one. There we go.
My name is Christia Osborne-Preston, and I'm a kindergarten teacher in Las Vegas. This is what it typically looks like in Las Vegas. But last week, this happened. This incredible change happened overnight, literally. What if we could solve challenges in education overnight? My challenge is connecting with families to foster positive relationships to improve student success. What should parent engagement look like in the 21st century? How do we meet parents where they are and make engagement strategies relevant to the needs of families and students? Our stakeholders estimate parent engagement ranges from 5 to 25%. Kids are too important to allow this trend to continue. I know change doesn't happen overnight. I will bring my unique perspective as an early childhood educator and my drive to elevate teaching and learning to the Google Certified Innovators cohort in Sydney. With Google's training, mentorship, and community, I can bring a new perspective to my challenge. This was a mind-blowing experience for my students. We should create mind-blowing experiences for our students every day by leveraging the power of families to improve schools.
Hi, Christia.
Yep. All right. So as I said before, video was not in my comfort zone. And when I saw videos that had people talking to camera, I was like, that's not me. And then there were the videos with all the effects and cool things. I was like, that's not me either. So I kind of had to find a comfortable space in between those two. And for me, and I noticed in the chat, someone mentioned it was telling a story. So we had that crazy snow, like in the midst of me doing this, this application, and I live in Las Vegas. So I was like, I have to work this in somehow. There's these pictures, you know, this is just an amazing thing. So I just kind of took that picture. I kind of worked it around that idea of change, and then I went with it and told my story. I used Adobe Spark. As you can see, I used the free Adobe Spark video. It allowed me to bring in pictures, bring in video. I could do voiceovers. It got me at my comfort level for this. And it was a tool that I didn't know, so it's super easy to learn fast if you need to. When I went to these webinars, you know, they said, bring in your personality, make sure you smile, and also make sure that you talk on your video. So since I didn't feel as comfortable being on the video, I decided to put as many of my words in there to help to show my personality.
Thank you very much for taking us through that, and really nice to see yeah, a lot of people picking up Spark as a different tool to use, and there's a whole range of stuff out there, but that's great to see. We're going to do one final video because I'm just conscious of time moving on, so and there's one person we haven't seen yet, so let's do the next one.
I've been working in EdTech for over 15 years now, and far too long IT has been seen as a necessary evil in schools. I've always heard complaints like IT has always cost us far too much money, IT has never worked when we've needed it to, and we're too afraid of the impact a major change in IT will have. So what can we do to help schools take back control of their IT and help to make IT a facilitator of teaching and learning as opposed to being a barrier to teaching and learning? Hello, my name is Abid Patel and I'm the IT Director at Leading Learning Trust, and this is my Google Certified Innovator Challenge. IT is one of the fastest moving industries in the world, yet schools have always been behind the curve. For far too long, schools haven't been able to modernise their systems due to a lack of expertise and costly solutions that don't fit around the school's ethos. Our children aren't able to experience modern tech, therefore really stifling their ability to have the best possible outcome in their lives for a rich digital future. So how might we make digital transformation accessible to everyone, anywhere and on any budget?
Thank you, Abid. And you mentioned earlier on, didn't you, that this was the first video you'd done?
Yeah, definitely. Yep, the first video I've ever made for anything ever. It was, I've just posted a link in the chat. It was basically, that was my studio. It was a old laptop trolley that we had. That I'd set up with some books and rested my iPhone against that, and yeah, like Chris said, it was take 562, I think it was. Half of the takes I had to throw away because when I watched the video back, I could hear people in the corridor outside our library opening the door, and I could hear a big massive creak. So I had to go get some WD-40 from the site manager to to grease the door to stop it from creaking. But yeah, I stutter an awful lot when I speak, and like Luis said as well, it was really annoying me that when I was watching the video back, I could just see my eyes going from left to right. But I wrote the whole thing down in a script, and definitely by the last take, I had it all memorized. But that's what I would suggest is, you know, write out what you want to say, and then just read it back to yourself. Forget the video and everything. Read it back to yourself with a stopwatch. For your 60 seconds or whatever, and just at first I was very daunted by 60 seconds. I thought, wow, 60 seconds, what am I gonna, how am I gonna get everything that I want to say about myself and the passion I have behind my challenge in 60 seconds? And when I wrote it down and read it out to myself and looked at the end of the stopwatch, and I still had, like, 7 seconds left to go, it's just like, right, okay, I've now wasted 7 seconds, what can I fill it up with, sort of thing. And I felt that planning, that pre-planning really helped to kind of help me judge how the sort of thing was going to go. And then I didn't like initially the fact that I didn't have any, it was just me talking, and so I did a quick search on royalty-free music, and then just found a nice upbeat tone, and yep, I recorded it all on my iPhone, and then I used iMovie on the Mac to edit the video together. So I just added this front screen and then a back screen and then the music, and learned how to tone down the music, and I did it all 3 days before the deadline. I would have probably left it to last minute, but I was going to watch Avengers Endgame at midnight on the showing, so I didn't want to leave it until after that. So yeah, definitely don't do what I did, but don't be afraid of just getting out there. Like Chris said, when you look at all these videos and how the hell did they do all that fast production? It's the fact that you just went and did it. And that's absolutely it. I mean, if you'd showed me before I did this application that this is going to be my video, I would have told you, get out of here. I can't make a video like that. And so, yeah, absolutely go for broke. And that's the first step, is do it.
And lots of conversations. Thank you, Abby, by the way, for sharing the process. Just picking up lots of things in the chat. There are lots of people mentioning in the chat. I'm just going to jump forward a couple of slides in this, just to mention that we do over on our YouTube channel keep a playlist for every academy, and so it contains the 36 successful videos. So if you want to see videos that have made it, over on the Innovator Program's YouTube channel, you can watch you know, the collection for Mexico and the collection for London and so on, as each of the successful collections. So those are available for you to see. But of course, as other people have mentioned, you can also search YouTube, just search YouTube in general for Google Certified Innovator application, and you will discover a huge number of videos, both successful ones and unsuccessful ones that are out there on YouTube. So it's certainly worth a search to get some ideas of different things that are out there in the video space. I'm just conscious that we have got last sort of few minutes left in terms of our time, and we've covered a lot of different ideas and tips as we've gone through this webinar in terms of making a video. So big things from us, you know, check the security on the video, check the set to public viewing, check you put the right link to the right video in, because we've seen that before as well, where links have taken us to different videos on YouTube. And you know, have some fun with it and make sure your personality comes across. I think those are some of the key things we picked up from this evening's webinar. I did want to just very quickly return at the end of our call to our Q&A doc, and we will continue to keep our eye on this document over the next few hours at bit.ly/VIA20QA. So if you have questions that you want to ask of the program, you can drop them into the Q&A doc, and we're keeping that pretty much up to date. I'm just going to quickly flick into it now instead of anything particularly pertinent at the moment. Do you have to be a trainer before becoming an innovator has been added in there recently? No, absolutely not. The two programs are separate. Whilst there are some innovators who are trainers, it's certainly not a requirement of the program to be a trainer or an innovator first. They are separate things. So you can just be an innovator, or you can just be a trainer, or you could be both. But you do, of course, need to be Google Certified Educator at level 2 to apply for the Innovator Program. So answer that question. And so how important is editing the video? Someone's asked that. I would say that we're still scoring based on the passion of the problem. And so whilst poor editing isn't going to necessarily mean you don't get in, then the bottom line is that I think the quality of the video, it's important to get the message across. And it's important for us to see there is some time and effort put into that video. So it's a mixture of those two. And we saw some straight to camera ones this evening that haven't necessarily got, you know, huge amounts of time spent editing. I'm aware some people have shared one of our old Meet the Cohort sites into the chat tonight. Very shortly, in the next 3 days, we're migrating over to a new site. So if you're looking at our old site right now, which has got some issues with Awesome Table, seen that mentioned a few times, in a couple of days' time, we're just migrating over. So I would say if you want to see videos, go over to our Innovator YouTube channel and watch the videos from there. Last final minutes of the chat, I would say a couple of things. Firstly, if you're nervous about the video, don't be. You'll get over it. All of us on the call managed at some point to produce a video that got us into the Innovator Academy. I think final words, any final tips from anyone else on the call before we finish this evening?
No solutions. That killed me in my first application.
No solutions. Thank you, Lewis. Anyone else?
Just keep trying. It took me eight tries to get in.
8 tries, Frederick. That's impressive resilience on your part to keep applying. But well done on making it into one of the hardest academies to get into as well, New York.
I think it was pity, but I'll take it.
New York last year was the biggest academy and the highest number of applicants for any academy we've ever done, actually. Anyone else want to say some final words before we wrap up?
Go for broke. Just go out there and do it. Absolutely, you won't regret it. Yeah, like Andy said, don't be afraid. I mean, you know, this was my first video, and I couldn't have imagined doing the live training sessions and all that we've been doing on YouTube with Global GG and all of that stuff. That was not me at all prior to the academy. I was quite quiet and reserved beforehand, as much as hard as it might be to believe nowadays.
I'm refusing to believe that, Abid, at all.
It's the best. It's the best time you've ever spent. It's the best PD ever. There's nothing, there's nothing we can't sell it hard enough. And if we could quit to apply and go again, we'd all do it in a heartbeat, I'm sure.
Yeah, and like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, it's not like they put you out there and say, oh, you didn't get in. But you will at some point, because I don't know how I got in, and I did. So just get rid of the imposter syndrome for sure.
Yeah.
Leslie, I'm blind.
Oh, Chris, you muted yourself as you started talking.
I was going to say, don't forget about the video. There's a lot of discussion in the thread as people sort of, I can see there's a stress level there about making this video, this damn video, right? Don't let it bother you, because as Lewis pointed out in the chat, you can have the best problem ever, but if you do a crap video, then obviously that's obvious. What it says is not that you're a bad video maker, but you've been unable to communicate it, right? Because that's really the problem, and you've got to be a communicator to really make this work for you. And conversely, though, I put a thing in there to say you could have the best video in the world and a rubbish problem. That's not good either. So the video is not the be all and end all of this. It's just simply you showing that you've got an idea and you can communicate it. And honestly, so long as you can, if you get your lighting right and you tell a clear story, that's about all you need in a good video. All the other stuff it's nice if you can do it, but don't stress about that. Just good lighting, good sound, and tell a good story.
Besides, how many innovators still are on their original problem that they presented?
Nope.
Nope.
I did.
I think it's not that isn't what I still have it, but I came to realize that as people have been asking, should this be what I send in? I'm like, I don't know that I can answer that for you, but I started to think, where am I gravitating and spending my time when it's not, when it's outside of my job, or when it's that extra stuff? Like, what do I do because I love doing it? And what would I want to keep doing to have it be a project? And that's, I had to pivot there, because like, you only have so many hours in the day, and it is okay. I think the hardest part for me was learning to ring the fail bell and just admit, like, it's okay to let that thing go. It is okay. And just because you put it down on an application doesn't mean you've committed your whole life to it. And once I finally gave into that, like, so much opened up, and I connected with so many more people. So yeah. Bring it when you need to.
I'm just conscious of the time, and not wanting to finish everyone's passion, and we will stay around to answer questions. But I need to make sure we bring the recording in at an hour. So we're going to stop the recording now, but we will I'm sure a number of us will stay around and answer questions people are asking. And actually, I just saw a really nice question pop up in the chat as I was saying that. And it was the question about, what was that one?